Michael, what can we expect from this meeting that's taking place in Copenhagen?
Yeah, the Copenhagen meeting, Sam, is EU defence ministers. So it's very much the nuts and bolts of the things that they deal with. This has been on the books for some time, so it's not an emergency meeting as a result of the Russian attacks on Kyiv yesterday. But they're talking about getting the defence industries gearing up properly in Europe. And of course, they've got, in theory, they've got 800 billion euros to spend over a decade in rearmament. And obviously, they're only on the early tranches of that. But there's a lot of coordination to do. But they undoubtedly will be talking about how to get more military aid into Ukraine, what Ukrainians really need, which is a lot of air defence and some deep strike weapons, weapons that they can hit behind the Russian lines so that they can prevent these Russian offensives from developing. That's the sort of thing they'll be talking about. Not so much the politics of the Russian attack on Kyiv yesterday. That, I think, will go to the Security Council, which is meeting later this afternoon in New York at the United Nations. That's where we'll see the politics of it. This very much is about literally the nuts and bolts and the equipment that Europe is going to produce.
Meanwhile, though, there's a lot of provocation, isn't there? What commentators and people like you call this sub-threshold warfare. Russian drones going into German territory, for example. Just talk us through what's going on there and how provocative that might end up being.
Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time. The Russians, of course, they're trying to find out what are the routes for weapons being sent to Ukraine. I must admit, when this war started, I was surprised how relaxed Western officials were about getting stuff into Ukraine. I said, isn't it going to be difficult? They said, no, there's lots of ways. It's a big country. There's lots of ways we can get material in. And they have. Over 3 years, materials flowed into Ukraine. But, of course, the Russians are always trying to track it. Most of it, comes from Western Europe, through Poland or Romania and into Ukraine itself. This particular issue is because a series of drones have been seen. I don't think they've been intercepted, but they've been seen in Thuringia, in the old part of eastern Germany. And it looks as if the Russians are trying to track some of the routes that quite a lot of weapons are using to get through Germany into Poland and then into Ukraine. So this has come out in the United States. The Germans are saying, well, yes, we're looking at it, but they're not certain yet what is going on. But it's par for the course, standard stuff that the Russians are obviously trying to work out how they can intercept some of this stuff, particularly as more and more of it will be European equipment going to Ukraine, not American equipment. And I think the Russians will feel more emboldened to try to maybe sabotage European equipment or even, they have hinted, attack it directly before it gets to Ukraine.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, we had this much trumpeted Alaska summit, didn't we? What has come of that?
Yeah, and here we've got Zelensky just in the last hour saying that, the Allies have agreed to wait until Monday, give it the weekend, to then make a decision as to whether Putin is serious about a follow-up meeting to the Alaska summit. Most Europeans are pretty convinced he's not serious about it. He needs to say enough to try to keep Trump on side, to keep his relationship with Trump alive in the way that it presently exists, but that he doesn't want to go to a meeting. He certainly doesn't want to talk to Zelensky directly. And what Putin has said is, well, maybe we can elevate the status of the Istanbul talks. Instead of having them between officials, we'll have them between foreign ministers. Maybe we could discuss it that way. But Putin is vehement, adamant that he will not go into a room with Zelensky. If he gives in on that, then that would be quite a big concession, just to have a meeting directly with Zelensky. But he says that he won't. And Zelensky is also now saying that, we can't discuss security guarantees simply at this technical level. It has to be a leaders' discussion. That's what he said in the last hour. And that we need concrete security guarantees ratified in the allied parliaments. So Zelensky, in a sense, is raising the stakes himself by saying, look, if we're going to have some sort of talks, then we have to have realistic security guarantees, not a series of vague ideas among officials at a lower level.
So we keep talking in circles.
We're going in circles, yeah. I mean, most of us believe that this next peace round, or round of another peace conference, won't actually happen. Or if it happens, it'll be about something else. It won't be about creating a peace deal. And all of this is shadow boxing as the Europeans, the Ukrainians and the Russians are playing to Washington so that they don't get the blame for the breakdown. Because the way in which President Trump interprets the breakdown, as and when it happens in probably a couple of weeks' time, maybe 3 weeks' time, that's a guess on my part, the rhythm of these sort of things goes in that sort of way, that when that breakdown occurs, he will blame somebody, and that will have an effect on how far the United States is prepared to support Ukraine in the future.
Michael, thank you very much indeed.